good, the bad and the odd. They don't half talk some bollocks.
Okay, welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Odd. We host Mark and Sam. Today we're doing a kaiju, Shin Godzilla. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
So, Shin Godzilla, the latest Toho Godzilla, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, first things first, www.thegoodthebadandtheodd.com. If you want to leave us any feedback, that's the way to do it. If you want to give us any reviews, go there. But we're on iTunes for reviews. That'd be nice. I'll tell you what, let's pull up the comfy chair after this.
You're about to experience the cultural phenomena.
What's it all about? Know what I mean?
That's sweeping the nation. Oh yeah, it's happening.
It's frightening what we've created. Stinking Paws Podcast.
I'd sooner go out and see a bleeding horror film, I said nothing like that.
A fortnightly show where we review classic and not so classic movies. A truly fine professional piece of work, taking a look at some of your favourite movies of all time. I'm ready to go. I'm really ready to go. No, I'm not. You can find all our previous episodes on our website, stinkingpaws.com.
Unorthodox. Sue us.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter @stinkingpaws or join the Facebook group.
The majesty and grandeur of the English language is the greatest possession we have.
And it needed something to sort of give it a breath. It needed something to give it a. I can't say it. I can never say. I always say fresh of breath air.
Brilliant.
The noblest thoughts ever flowed through the hearts of men are contained in its extraordinary, imaginative, and musical mixtures of sound.
Probably good not to do a podcast if you can't say basic
English.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can also subscribe to the show at iTunes. As we said, a truly professional podcast. Yeah, they all sort of play each other off each other. That sounded wrong. They all sort of play each other off. What the hell was that? They play one another. I'm not even going to go there.
They
play.
Let's give this some serious thought. They play one another against each. No.
Does that sound right? I don't know.
I know what you're trying to say.
Get the comfy chair!
Okay, comfy chair. Mine's pretty short. What's yours?
I just remembered I watched a couple sort of in preparation for this.
Oh, okay.
Because it's other films by the director.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I've got a couple of films, maybe a board game, but I might just mention the board game super briefly because I want to actually play it a bit more before I go into detail. But do you want to start, shall I? I've got kind of three then.
I'm not too bothered.
I'll do. You know what? Mine are all kind of lumped together. I'm just going to do all of them if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Mine, I did a double bill of Michael Caine on my birthday. It was The Italian Job and Zulu. And The Italian Job, is The Italian Job, right? I mean, Michael Caine's really a cheeky chappy. And he's got a load of other cheeky chappies. What always makes me laugh about this one is how the Brits in this are kind of always muddling through. They're not that super
They're
efficient.
not competent at crime.
They kind of are, but in an amateurish way. They kind of don't want to be too professional about it. There's one scene where one guy goes, "Shall we synchronise our watches?" And Michael Caine is, "No, you just make sure you're in the plaza at bloody 1:45. And stuff like that. But they're like smart enough to get a guy who can override the computers that control the traffic exactly as they want, and everything goes exactly to plan, and they get away, right? Apart from the goofy ending, which is fun. I like it. I mean, it's, you know, dated. It's kind of a bit misogynist around women and stuff like that. But it's just they're not very serious business. Mr. Bridget like runs the place from the prison, and the mafia are trying to be, you know, trying to cut them off, but they're just useless at it. And there's one line that makes me laugh. The mafia guy, he's got an American mafia guy with him, and he goes, these guys are you know, there can't be these guys. And the mafia goes, do not underestimate the British. They're not as stupid as they look. That was kind of funny. It did make me laugh. So that was fun. I give that one an 8 out of 10. A really, really enjoyable film. You know, the whole, they're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. And the second film I watched was an earlier entry from Michael Caine. His first starring role, actually, Zulu. Zulu still stands out. Really great film. In fact, I was talking on a podcast earlier, a podcast called Stinking Paws, which a really great podcast. It kind of, where we go through everything, they tend to focus on what are perceived to be classic films. So they're a slightly more highbrow sort of list of movies they'll look at. They'll hate me calling them highbrow now, but they let me come on to talk about Zulu. So I went on, but I've been banging on about Zulu for like an hour, bending their ear a bit. Great film. It just stands up. In fact, I watched it twice this week. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Wow.
So really superb. I mean, the Blu-ray's really good. And a lot of people may have watched it because it used to be one of them things that was always on a bank holiday. It's one of those kind of films.
Okay.
So a lot of people used to watching it on the tiny screen, you know, in a square box. But the new Blu-ray, magnificent. The colour's really coming through. And you can see the acting's really good. The only downside to that is the fake blood looks really fake, and the kind of fighting's a bit, you know, sword goes, you know, spear goes underneath your arm kind of does. You know what I mean? It's a bit of that. So it's not too gory in that sense. So I really enjoyed that. And my last one is I played a board game, which is really cool. It kind of it comes as an app that controls the game called Mansions of Madness version 2. And it's kind of, you're in a house and Cthulhu-y kind of stuff happens. Lovecrafty stuff happens. As you're moving around the house, you're like opening doors and searching through piles of papers and stuff like that, and different events. Like, for example, when I played it, I found an urn full of ashes, and I could have put them gently back or smashed them. So I decided to smash them, and I released this horrible ghost that started running around the house like a maniac. It's kind of, you know what it reminded me of? It kind of a bit like Betrayal on the House of the Hill meets Eldritch Horror.
I was going to say, that sounds like Betrayal.
But the thing is, because Betrayal's got this problem with the dynamic in that you kind of halfway through, you kind of have to work out an entire set of rules from scratch, which really disrupts the gameplay. Whereas Mansions of Madness has an app that controls it all, tells you what to do, and takes account of everything, which makes it a much more pleasurable and fun game and gives it atmosphere, because the app actually plays music as well. So it's kind of quite an experience. So, but I want to play it a bit more before I talk about it talk about it in depth. I'd like to talk about it in depth at some point, but I want to play it again, so which probably means I'll have to get it at some point. Anyway, over to you then for your
Okay, now I watched 3 films, but they're like a part of a series and a bit of a TV show, all of the same sort of thing. It's Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I have talked about. I watched them because they were directed by the guy who directs Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah. And he has a particular style that's like really evident in, like, it carries over through pretty much everything he does. Even when he was just like animating for some older stuff, like
what's this style then? Tell us about it.
Well, it's very cerebral. Lots of you can't really say certain camera lenses on animation, but he uses them somehow. Like, there's a lot of stuff that if it was live action, it would be wide angle.
Okay, and he replicates that in his animation, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really bizarre to watch and super cerebral as a show, and he's really devoted to this franchise that he's made, the Evangelion stuff. He drives himself insane about it. Like every couple of iterations, rather.
Cool. I mean, at least he's got vision, right? He's got a vision and he's executing it, so that's kind of cool. Even if it fails, it's kind of worthwhile. You know, to the people like that need a bit more attention paid to them than like jobbing directors, right?
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on his style?
I quite enjoy it, but I understand that a lot of people don't, because it can be really off-putting to just go in expecting. Because like when I watched Shin Godzilla, there was a startling lack of Godzilla through most of it.
Right.
And it's the same in Evangelion. Like the sort of elevator pitch of it would be you people in giant robots fighting giant monsters.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim was like based off part of it, and a lot of the shots in Pacific Rim are based on it. But for the most part, it's like teenage drama almost.
Right.
Not drama, more trauma.
Right.
Because they are like child soldiers, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's stuff like that. It's like completely subverts what you expect to see when you go in.
Yeah, I see. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So you watch those. That gives you some insight into that. I mean, that's to bring into Shin Godzilla discussion, in, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else on your comfy chair? Should we just
No,
go with
that's it.
Okay, let's get on with it.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Okay, so Shin Godzilla, I haven't got the wiki up on this, but it came out in 2016, right? And it's a fresh one. It's not based on any existing mythology as such, right?
No.
It's what I mean, I have to say, overall I really like this one. But the first act really made me feel like it was going to be a slog. Because it starts with them having this environmental thing going on, something super hot under the ocean, and then they think it's moving. Then they see a towel, and then something crawls up. And when I first saw what I thought was meant to be Godzilla, I thought, oh my God, what have they done? Because it kind of looks like a Dimetrodon. No, sorry, more like a Stegosaurus type.
It's like... It's not even like a dinosaur. It looks like a giant slug with a face.
Yeah, and the face is pretty bad.
It's good.
The CG looked bad. It had great big eyes that weren't animated, so they looked like doll's eyes stuck on a big rubber monster. I say a rubber monster, it was a CG monster, right?
Yeah.
And the CG didn't look very good either. So it was like, this is going to be awful. And I wasn't happy. However, it improved rapidly.
Yeah. It was once he stood up. That was kind of
maybe a little after that, because when he was still in that first iteration of his version, his head looked all wobbly.
Yeah,
and it looked
I guess that's kind of the point. He's like mutating at a startling rate.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the first act that's worth noting is they do seem to be trying for like a Cloverfield vibe. Like, lots
almost.
of camera shots changing all the time between different perspectives. Different people's phones, maybe. It's kind of hard to tell where their pictures are coming from, right?
Yeah.
And there's some quite interesting sort of environmental stuff uncovered, which I believe, looking at the Wikipedia, is kind of inspired by the, they had that nuclear disaster about 5 years ago. And then they had the earthquake and tsunami. And so this was a kind of riffing on that. Japan's really suffered, hasn't it?
Yeah, they really, as far as I understand, they really hate like anything to do with nuclear that's not just power.
Right. I'm not surprised.
There was like a big study on like plant and animal life around I think it was the Fukushima plant.
Yeah.
And like the vast majority of them were like severely mutated or whatever.
Yeah.
There was like flowers where the petals went all the way down the plant.
Okay, and stuff like that.
It was really bizarre.
Kind of monstrous.
Weirdly, I saw one of them and it looked like, what was the plant monster from Godzilla?
The really cool one.
It didn't look like the...
Bio
looked like a
something?
There was like a
Biollante?
bit before that.
Say again?
there was like two stages of that. One where it looked like a giant crocodile, and another where it looked like an actual plant.
Yeah, Biollante though, right?
When it looked like the actual plant, that was pretty much what it was.
Ah, okay. Wow, that's weird. That is weird. And he's kind of red-skinned in this first iteration too, and blood pours out of his gills.
He starts like almost yellowish, and then he stands up, then he goes red, and then blood starts spraying everywhere.
And the CG of both the monster and he was pushing boats inland, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but the actual CG of the monster wasn't great, I didn't think.
No. That was like Phantom Menace monster sort of CG.
Not even that good. Not even that good. It was, but once he turned into Godzilla, the more familiar film, it was very, very good. Actually, I thought it was good, and actually the film rapidly improved. And I kind of like the presentation of the scientists. They were, and indeed the military. They were kind of quite competent for a change, right? The only
hit Godzilla a lot.
What was interesting was the use of the politicians, because they were like shown as a kind of bit. Oh, I don't know how I'll be remembered if I'll do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially the Prime Minister.
Yeah, so it was kind of
a real stick in the mud.
When they pressed him, he did make decisions, but it was kind of he felt a bit rabbit in the headlights, right? So you know what? This felt a spiritual successor to the very first Godzilla film to me, because it's serious and downbeat, right?
That's. I do know Hideki Anno's a big fan of the first Godzilla film, and when the American one came out a couple of years before this, he said you aren't Japanese if you don't go and see it.
Wow.
Yeah, he likes his Godzilla.
Even if the Americans do it, he says that. Right?
Yeah.
Wow. The Japanese really, really took to this film. I think it's the highest grossing Toho Godzilla film.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty impressive.
It also won a bunch of awards at the Japanese...
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's weird
the Japanese Academy Prize.
How good the last two acts are, and the first act really doesn't look great, and it feels a bit... And the whole dynamic... The dynamic was okay between the politicians. You felt it, but it felt like it was just filler. Whereas actually, once we got into the second and third act, all that other stuff with scientists and politicians didn't feel like filler to me. It felt really good, actually.
Yeah, because it all had function. They didn't.
Godzilla was brutal in this.
Oh,
His fire breath was amazing, and his powers were amazing.
I think it was actually more impressive before he got the laser breath.
Yeah, it was just.
He just sort of leaned down and then puked fire everywhere.
Yeah, he probably devastated several blocks on the city, right? The fire.
That was another weird thing. During that scene, there's it's a common thing in anime if there's mass destruction is you just show the tops of buildings in an orange base almost.
Yeah. To
show that it's all messed up, and they did that with this.
Yeah, there was definitely that kind of vibe. And it worked. It worked, right? It worked really well, I thought. What do you reckon?
It was really, really impressive, especially when he started blasting the lasers out of his spines as well, and then his tail.
Yeah. There's not really much to say about this. It's a really good Godzilla film. If the American one had been like this, I think a lot more people would have liked it, because we had a lot of good action.
Yeah. I think I kind of wait until the sequel to pass judgment on this, because it was a really good film, but Godzilla didn't have that much to do.
No, he just ended rocked up in Tokyo and stayed there, right?
Yeah.
They had this interesting...
in the first one, Godzilla had a function. He went to Tokyo, he smashed it up, and then he was eating almost.
Yeah.
In this, they kind of make a point that he doesn't eat. They talk about square cube law and energy conservation.
Yeah, and how all he needs is oxygen and water. And they also even, at one point, they make a mention of he might be a key to energy production in the future.
They imply that the Americans want to kill him and study the body. So.
Yeah, the problem is, there is this interesting the Japanese are trying to deal with it, but the Americans are like, well, we can't have that thing coming towards us, so we're going to nuke it. So the threat is they're going to nuke Japan.
Yeah.
To get rid of Godzilla, right? So there's this underlying threat that the whole UN's against them, and even the Prime Minister kind of goes along with it for a bit.
Yeah.
Which is like, what?
Yeah. I think there may have been some French funders for this film, because there was a weird bit I know
talk about France.
where they were like, the French have helped us.
Yeah, we got to be grateful to. Don't forget the French and all this.
Yeah,
because they say we need another nuclear power to help us out here. What about the French? They got nukes.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. What about? All right, I can see they don't want to do the Americans, but the British. That's about it, though. Really,
the Russians will go against the
Russians. Ain't gonna. Yeah, but I mean, the Japanese aren't going to do anything with Russians, right? Yeah, interesting. They seem to sort of go on about the French, didn't they? Yeah, weird. What I kind of like the fact that, you know, in a lot of Godzilla films, one of the goofiest aspects is they kind of lose Godzilla.
Yeah.
And they say, we can't find him anymore. It seems utterly ridiculous. In this, they don't go for that. They go for the complete opposite. Godzilla just stops moving in the middle of Tokyo and can't be bothered. You know, nothing seems to affect him. So
he wears himself out for a bit.
It's just, and they kind of work out the time down, right? They work out how long
they figure out
to recharge.
It's like with the breath, he expends all of his energy, so he just stops dead. Even his tail just sort of solidifies.
Yeah, and they work out how long it's going to take to revive, and they work out quite a cool strategy for trying to keep him exhausted.
Yeah,
as a way of
basically just wear him down and then spray him with
anticoagulants.
Yeah,
because his blood
keeps leaking energy.
Yeah, he's got magic blood or something, right? So if they inject, and is it coagulants or one of the? I think it's coagulants.
Anticoagulants so that he keeps bleeding off energy.
Okay,
I think.
Yeah, which is weird because there is an early shot where he's in the first iteration where all his gills open, blood pours out, which is really weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact the military also take their time to try and work out weaknesses.
Yeah, they do actually try.
Attacking him.
Did you notice during their first attack the tanks all went for his legs and the airplanes all went for his head?
Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
But they're trying at one point. They're saying, right, try these type of caliber shells on his legs, then move it up a bit, and then that didn't work. So try the missiles, on this area, and they were trying to see where he was weak, right? And he was just super strong. That was the trouble. And they even had this. They described it as like some sort of inbuilt radar system to detect threats, which he then shoots out of the sky by firing lasers out of his back.
Yeah,
madness.
Yeah, that was actually fun. Pretty cool. That he can just instinctually sense anything near him.
Yeah. So he just kind of moves a bit and everything dies.
Yeah.
There were some good disaster shots.
They're big on their destruction shots in this one.
They drop a building on him as well at one point.
They drop a few buildings on him at one point.
To try and blot out the sun, I think, or try and stop oxygen.
It's just to pin him down so that they can...
I thought they were trying to restrict his oxygen. My mistake.
They might have actually been doing that.
Yeah, because they did go on about if we can restrict his access to oxygen and light, we can overcome him. Once he's pinned down, they start bringing in cranes that shoot the anticoagulant into his mouth.
Yeah.
Because that's it. They've worked out.
They do make a lot of allusions to a bit of Japanese folklore. They make a lot of allusion to lots of Japanese folklore.
Such as?
The story of the Yamata no Orochi. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Basically, a god, like an 8-headed hydra. They talk about a hydra a few times. That's the thing they're talking about.
Right.
A goddess got marked for consumption by this hydra.
Okay.
And another god stepped in, dressed up as the woman, then proceeded to get the hydra drunk, and then either fought it drunk or killed it while it slept. I can't remember the actual thing, but that's what they're going for here. That's what they call it.
We miss a lot of these references, don't we? Yeah. Because the Japanese, we miss a lot of them as Westerners.
And I think there was a lot of subtitles of districts in this, and I think they were using that to show how far something goes.
Right.
There's, especially when he's puking the fire, it shows destruction over several. It's Minato district or whatever, that sort of thing. And I think it was to show just how far this thing is going.
Yeah,
but because we know the layout of Tokyo, didn't mean that much to us.
Right.
So
okay, Cool. I haven't got much more to say about this other than I sort of thoroughly recommend it, actually. It's quite a good entry in the kaiju. I'm kind of pleased we got to it, because honestly, I think if I hadn't been watching it for the podcast, I might have shut it off in the first act, which would have been a shame, because it actually turned really good. And it really turned it around for me. But it's a good one. There's some interesting characterisation going on. There's a woman who I believe was raised in America, and she actually says things like, when the old guy politicians are dealing with her, they're like bowing in a certain way. She goes, I'm not familiar with the formalities. Can we go informal and stuff like that?
Yeah, the ambassador, I think.
Yeah, and she's kind of... they do talk a little English here and there too, don't they?
Yeah.
It's interesting in the military manoeuvres, they were talking English, bombs away and stuff like that. It was kind of... I thought that was really interesting, the Japanese army would do that. I don't know if it's a real reflection, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. What would you give this one out? Anything more to say on it before we score it?
What did you think of the last shot?
I couldn't work out what it was. It was kind of...
It was a close-up of his tail.
Yeah, it was
people coming out of his tail.
So why were people coming out of his tail? I couldn't work it out.
Hideki Anno's a really messed up person.
Right.
And that's all I can really attribute to it. If you go... this is a suggestion for people listening to the podcast now, as well as, you, Mark.
Yeah.
Go and look up the concept art for this, because it's all sorts of messed up.
Oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Cool. I was trying to work out, was it Offspring?
Godzilla budding off.
Okay, because they did talk about he could reproduce asexual from a single cell, right? Because there was that threat.
The bit where they find that, where it's one of his spines is lodged in a building, that was originally going to be, it started growing and spread out.
Oh.
There's several heads coming out of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought
basically there were Godzilla people coming out of his tail.
Right, I thought we were going to end a shot with seeing little Godzillas somewhere, or eggs, or something. So when it was humanoids, I was like, I don't get this. Is that what he's eating or something? I couldn't work it out. So that was kind of Godzilla people.
Yeah, that's the sequel hook, and it's his tail's kind of messed up even if you begin with it, because the end of it is a skull.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird tail, and it's almost like a club at the end, but like you say, a skull. There was actually one bit I wanted to mention that I forgot, which was part of during the first attack wave, I think, when we actually see the final Godzilla. They bring in the old music, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Really good sound.
They did use a lot of music from Hideki Anno's other stuff, and some other, just anime. Yeah, they used a lot of the stuff from Evangelion, which was the preparation music that they use for the...
montages, right?
Yeah, montages. But they also used something, I think it was from Bleach.
How about that?
Yeah, it was weird.
Okay, all right, let's score it in. What would you give this out of 10?
I'd give this an 8.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8. I think it's a solid entry. Solid kaiju, this one. One of the best... I'd say it's one of the top tier ones, actually. I really liked it, of the Toho ones. So, very fun. Right. So, next week... we haven't really decided, have we? We've got a few things on ice. I'm still working through Samurai Jack, but I think that's about 3 weeks off before we actually...
they just released the 6th episode, I think.
So we've got a few, probably a month or more until season 5's done. Is there 13 or 10?
10.
10. Okay, so we've got about a month before that finishes, and we'll try and do the review when that series finishes. So I think I'm midway through season 3 at the minute. Really enjoying it. There's been some really goofy ones, but really enjoying it. But we'll get to them when we talk about it. So next time we might do some more kaiju. We might do some Hammer. Guardians of the Galaxy 2's out, so we might be doing that, right? Okay then. So bye from me.
Bye.